So I've spent more than a month with the ASUS VivoBook 15 OLED, which is the cheapest model configuration featuring an 11th Gen i3 processor and 8GB of RAM. And I have to say that it has exceeded my expectations. It's still not a do-it-all laptop, obviously, since both the RAM and CPU are made for light workloads only, but if you have to push it, you can get away with it with a few tweaks and workarounds depending on the apps you use. So to all the followers, welcome back and thanks for stopping by once again. And if you're new here, we make tech videos of all kinds, so feel free to drop a sub to get notified of new content. Before we get started, here's a short message from the sponsor of this video. CDKey Offers specializes in delivering cheap and legitimate software and game codes. If you ever need a Windows 10 Pro or a Microsoft Office key, you can buy one at a very cheap price. To do so, just visit cdkeyoffer.com. Search for Windows 10 and choose a suitable copy for you. But in my case, I always go for a professional copy. Before making a payment, make sure to type in the RC20 code for an exclusive 30% off discount. After that, you can choose your preferred payment method. You will receive the code via an email that redirects you to the website of CDKey Offer, and from there you can get your Windows 10 key. Since my Windows 10 copy is already activated, I just can simply change my product key to the new one that I just bought. If you need a Microsoft Office key, the steps are pretty much the same. Just make sure to type in the RC20 code for an exclusive 30% off discount. CDKey Offer provides permanently valid keys with 30 days of return and exchange period. You can check out more deals in the video description below. As a refresher, the model that I have here is the cheapest one in the Philippine market. This one is running on i3-1115G4 CPU with 2 physical cores and 4 threads with a base speed of 3 GHz and a max speed of 4.1 GHz. It's paired with 8GB RAM, but one slot is upgradable so you can extend this to at least 12GB because the other 4GB is soldered. There's also space for a 2.5-inch SATA 3 HDD if the 512GB is not enough for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the OLED display. There's no way of putting it. This is a great OLED display, especially for the price you're getting it. If you're like me who's fed up with subpar Windows laptop display, it's finally ending with this laptop. It's bright, capable of up to 400 nits, but in person I honestly think it's more than that. When I'm outside, my brightness level is usually between 70 to 80%. I can go up to 100% obviously, but it's really surprising to see here that I don't need to go maxed out and draining the battery just to see the graphics and letters on the screen. This is using a glossy finish, so the biggest enemy here is the reflections. However, it's a trade-off I'm willing to make over any LCD out there. Now, since we're talking about OLED display, it's only a matter of time until it suffers burn-in or a permanent mark left in the display that can't be remedied unless you replace the entire panel. However, the built-in MyASUS software has a couple of features to prolong the life of the panel. But if you really want to maximize the lifespan of the panel, I recommend setting a keyboard shortcut that turns off the screen or make the screen time out after 1 to 2 minutes. Inside MyASUS, you can also set it to automatically hide the taskbar when you don't need it. It'll require some getting used to, which is another practice I need to do. In my case, I put the taskbar on the left side so I don't have to accidentally bring up the taskbar whenever switching tabs in browsers. You can also make the colors more vivid, but it's overkill at this point. Having the screen set to standard is good enough since OLED naturally delivers colorful picture quality. Overall, I am in love with this OLED laptop. Like if you've been looking for an OLED display to up your media entertainment experience, this laptop is more than enough to replace the expensive OLED tablets from Samsung. Now, did I encounter an issue with the display during my time with the laptop? I did, and there are a couple of them. However, I think these issues that I'm about to mention have something to do with the drivers of the integrated UHD GPU more than the physical display itself. So first off, I get these weird glitches when coming off from a pause state in videos. It happens when I'm streaming on YouTube as well as when locally playing a video using a VLC media player. However, the issue is more apparent when editing videos on Premiere Pro as well as the rendered output of Premiere Pro. More on that later. The second issue, which happened once only, is this. I literally left the laptop for a few seconds to resume the video, but afterward the screen went bonkers. All parts of the laptop were working, but the screen made it unusable. But before I did a restart, the screen kinda went back to normal, but the letters and the edges of the graphics were a bit blurred with purple outlines. Since then, I have not encountered the issue again. I'm really hoping Intel pushes out an update for the UHD to fix these issues, but if not, there's still a chance that it's something hardware related, which is something you don't want on a new laptop. There's one more thing I noticed with the display. Not all users will probably notice this, but for those with sensitive eyes, you may notice some kind of slight flickering between 40 to 50% brightness. It's weird that it goes away in lower end brightness levels, but then again, the flicker is really subtle. I actually didn't notice it at first, not until when I was actively looking for a problem. I don't think this is a serious issue, but it's still worth pointing out. Although the display also supports HDR, HDRs on Windows laptops is not that easy to deal with. Unlike on smartphones, you have to turn on HDR in the settings. Doing so makes the colors of the screen flatter or less saturated, to the point where it looks kinda off to the eyes. And once you play an HDR video on YouTube, you'll immediately notice how blown out the highlights are. There's a slider in the settings that lets you balance the shadows and highlights of HDR videos, but no matter what I do, I still end up with the garbage looking output. The only time HDR worked for me is when I stream videos on Netflix. In the end, I switched off HDR since OLED in SDR looks so great already. So that's about it for the display. When it comes to performance, I feel like i3 models on laptops have come a long way. This is me coming from an Acer Swift 3 with a 7th Gen i3 laptop. The battery has stayed the same as I consistently get 4 to 5 hours of usage in better battery mode with browsing as my main activity. But for the actual performance, I was actually able to edit 4K raw Sony footage on Premiere Pro as well as play some select games. But obviously you have to set your expectations right before you make this laptop like a budget video editing or gaming machine alternative. I mean, if we're talking about light workloads like researching and online conferencing, this is a great choice, especially it has a numpad in the deck. It can handle that, but when it comes to heavier workloads, it's not something I would use every day. While I was able to edit a few 4K videos here, it's not without hiccups. Video playback in Premiere Pro was choppy, so I needed to create proxies to make it smoother, and processing proxies requires a significant amount of time with this laptop. Although rendering an 8-minute 4K 30 megabit Sony video with minimal graphical text took me less than 30 minutes to render, there were glitches in some parts of the rendered video due to the software of the integrated GPU. What's even worse is that Premiere Pro forced shutdown a few times. Although my bet is because of the 8GB RAM, I don't have enough evidence since I wasn't able to upgrade this model. The fan inside isn't too loud once it starts spinning, but it's audible at best. It definitely won't harm someone sitting beside you in a coffee shop or library. However, to get the best sustained performance out of the 28-watt CPU, the laptop has to be connected to an outlet. You can actually see the fan profile inside my ASUS app, which will guide you when it comes to fan and overall performance. I found out that the audio jack on the right side supports the microphone as well, as opposed to what I said in the first video. And while I do appreciate the addition of useful ports, I wish they were placed on the left side so that they wouldn't occupy my mouse space. This laptop is also Windows 11 ready. It comes with Windows 10 out of the box, but you can upgrade it to 11 for free in the settings. That's the ASUS VivoBook 15 OLED. If you don't mind putting extra care in the way you handle your laptop, this OLED machine is worth it. Other than the keyboard, the display is one of the most used parts of the laptop, so don't skimp on the screen. That's about it for this one. Drop a sub or like if you feel supporting the channel, and until the next one, stay safe.